Hey guys, welcome back to another video. Before I get started, I just wanted to wish Gashead Steve all the best. He's not very well at the moment. So Steve, hope you get well soon, dude. And I hope you enjoy this video because it is horror related. So this is a VR to Walking the Cow, and for once it's not gaming questions, it is horror questions like I just mentioned. Because Halloween was last week, Darren decided to put out some horror questions for a change. So, a bit different. And by the way, I really enjoyed the live stream we did last week. Myself, Walking the Cow, and Nathan's Gaming. We talked about our favorite horror films and games. Really enjoyed it, lads. Nice talking to you both. Thank you for joining me, and thank you to everyone who watched it as well. So, let's go on to the horror questions then, because I tend to babble on a lot in these things. In most of my videos, actually. Question number one. What was your first horror film? Now, I actually can't remember. It was that long ago. I can tell you my first horror series was probably Goosebumps. But what was my first horror film? Well, I can tell you about one of the first films I can remember seeing was Arachnophobia as a kid. Yeah, big mistake watching it as a kid. Do you think I could sleep that night watching a film about a killer spider, crawling into your bed and stuff like that, and killing people off left, right, and centre? No, and my mate watched it as well the same night it was on, and he couldn't sleep either. So, Arachnophobia is one of the earliest ones I can remember watching. I was in primary school around that time. Of course, your parents wouldn't let you watch a lot of like scary stuff. But yeah, that Arachnophobia, spiders. I was never a fan of spiders because my mum's scared of spiders, and I think I picked it up off her. I'm not too bad at them now, but like still the big, thick black ones, house spiders you get in September. They still make me jump. I've only had one this year though. Okay, we're safe. We're safe. Yeah. Okay. Question number two. What are three of your favourites? Well, this one goes without saying. It, and I do have a pop of It by here. Stephen King's It, of course. Um, the remake I prefer more than the original. And there is my pop of Pennywise. There you go. Scary burger, innit? I've never opened that. It's still in the box. Saying that, I haven't got much room on my shelf now to store these, so I think it will stay in the box for quite some time. My best friend always tells me off for taking them out of the box, but I like them on display. Why are you taking them out of the box for? Because I want them on display. Leave them in the box. Okay. Child's Play is another favourite of mine. Ever since watching Goosebumps and having that possessed doll Slappy, which used to freak me out, I love any kind of possessed doll kind of films now. Especially like Ventriloquist Dummies or something like him. Look how freaky he is. Walking the Cow's got like a doll of Chucky, and he had it on a live stream, and he just kind of put it right to the camera. I wasn't looking at the camera at the time. I looked up and it was there. I was like, holy moly. Yeah, great films. Really enjoyed these. Not all of them, but the first few are quite good. Actually, that first one where the mum's trying to figure out if Chucky's actually alive, and then she finds he hasn't got any batteries, and she's going to throw him in the fire, and that's when he like turns on her like, "Oh, mess with me, will you?" or something. And it's like, "Whoa, that's scary stuff." Another film I like, Saw. I know it's a bit gruesome for some people, but what I like about the Saw films is not the gruesome stuff. It's about the storyline and the clever twists and turns, and they managed to make it go for like what, eight odd films, something like that. So I thought it was quite good. Maybe got a bit too far fetched in the end, or went on a bit too long, but the earlier ones at least were really, really good. What was the last horror film you saw? On Netflix, I watched Nobody Sleeps in the Woods Tonight. I think it was a Polish film, and it wasn't that good. It was alright, but it's the same old thing. Campers in the woods getting killed off one by some kind of monster or entity or something like that. And once you've seen one, you've seen them all. So it follows that formula. I don't know why people are still making these films. But it was alright. I mean, if you've got nothing else to do, it's not a bad watch. Excuse me. If you have got something else to do, it's a bad watch. Question number four. A horror sequel you like a lot. I'm going to go back to Chucky here and say Child's Play 2. After Child's Play 1, I really did enjoy the second one. I think it was a whole like kind of fight scene towards the end where they end up in the good guys factory, is it? And what happens to Chucky there and the final fight. I really enjoy it. And actually, I've got a pop from Child's Play 2 when you think Chucky's kind of dead, and he comes along crawling on the cart. So sorry for about the reflection there. Chucky on cart, special edition. So let's show the side. That's what it looks like. This one has stayed in the box as well. So yeah, Evil Doll films, that's my kind of thing. So it's one final shot at the front before we move on. Okay. Question number 5, a horror film you saw at the cinema. I've seen quite a few recently. Sorry, not recently, this year. One I did see this year before the lockdown, was it called The Invisible Man? Yeah, that was quite good. I really enjoyed that. That surprised me. That was a good one. But I do remember going to the cinema with an old workmate, and we watched Paranormal Activity 2. And those films do freak me out a bit more than your natural horror films, normal horror films, because it's all like found footage and camera footage, and it seems that more real. And it's yeah, I can't watch those films in the dark. I can now because I know what to expect from them, but first time it's like no. So sitting in the cinema watching Paranormal Activity 2, and I knew how jumpy these films could be. So I was sat there trying to concentrate on not jumping too much. There wasn't that many of us in the cinema, thankfully. Did jump a few times, but I didn't like kind of cry out loud or anything like that. Like, oh, dear me. I do remember spilling my Maltesers everywhere though, because I opened the pack too much, and yeah, loads and loads went in the chair. That's what annoyed me. That's what I remember most about that film. Small teasers, Paranormal Activity 2. They throw more teasers at you. Yeah. Question number 6, favorite comedy horror. This is one I discovered on Netflix a couple of years ago, and that would be The Babysitter. Really, really good film. It's got that 80s style feel to it. It's about like a cult who then, after this boy, well, his babysitter turns out to be evil, and she has a cult, and they're trying to get the blood of the innocent, which would be the boy. Why are they doing that? I think it's to become immortal. Yeah, and it's quite good. The acting's pretty good. The way they put it together. It has got a sequel. It was only out a couple of months ago. The Babysitter 2 Killer Queen. Good, but not as good as the original. But I honestly recommend The Babysitter to anyone. I've seen it twice now. So here's a good one. Question number 7. Right, you're gonna know my answer to this. Favorite Stephen King adaptation? Well, clearly, it's going to be one I've mentioned. It. One of the first Stephen King books I ever read. Actually, I think it was the first Stephen King book I ever read when I was a teenager. Quite a hefty book as well, look at it. Absolutely love this book though. What a great story. It's the first book that ever freaked me out. I think it was the line when it said something along the lines of, there was a clown standing in the storm drain. Don't know why, but that one line just freaked me out. I was like, you what? Yeah, but the way Stephen King writes and he put this book together, very good. Very good indeed. So after reading this book, it's still my favourite book of all time. After reading that book, I saw the film. The original was like in the 80s or something. It was okay. It wasn't bad. It was quite funny actually in places, with Tim Curry as Pennywise. But then obviously I did fall in love with the remake, one of my favourite films, a couple of years back. Part 2 was good, but not as good as part 1. And especially like Dancing Pennywise and stuff. Did really well. The acting in that was superb. I don't know if you hear that bang then, we still got fireworks going on. It's the day after Bonfire Night, but they're around all weekend, they. Okay, so that is my favourite Stephen King adaptation. If we're talking about my favourite Stephen King adaptation, non-horror, I would have to mention Stand By Me as well. That's one of my favourite films. And I have read the book. A lot shorter than that one. Okay, question number 8. A horror remake reboot you like? Well, I could have easily said it again for this, couldn't I? So I was scratching my head, trying to think of horror films reboots, did some research online. Then I found that 2001 Maniacs is actually like a remake of 2000 Maniacs. So basically, this is a film about a group of like college students, of course, again, that happened across this town in America where there was a civil war, and this town just happened to be. I don't want to. Don't want to say too much. Oh, I don't know. So basically, though, it's quite a crazy film. Some weird moments in there. It's kind of like a slasher kind of. Let's say it's like the Civil War between North and South. I don't want to say too much. I don't want to give it away in case no one's seen it. Right? So just check out 2001 Maniacs. There's also a sequel, 2001 Maniacs Field of Screams. I don't think that was as good. It never is it? But the first one, quite good. I used to have it on DVD, and actually, if I was talking about horror, um, the majority of my DVD collection used to be all horror films. When I was a teenager and then started getting some money in, I used to buy horror films all the time. And then I decided to sell most of them. Not sure why. I mean, they weren't the best horror films, kind of my favourites. Um, I think I sold them most of them on eBay. Actually, one Halloween years ago, I started selling them in like special packs. I called it my Halloween kind of giveaway, and I was like selling them in bundles of two and stuff like that. And you know, they all sold. It went really well. I'll try that again because I've tried selling on eBay this year. Managed to sell one thing so far out of like 10. But I think because of COVID being around and stuff, people just don't want to buy it. So it's fair enough. I've stopped it now until better times. Okay, so 2001 Maniacs for that one. Question number 9. Boom. Favorite black and white horror? Well, it simply has to be Night of the Living Dead. Probably because that's one of the few I've actually seen and can remember. But yeah, you know, the original zombie classic, in my opinion, absolutely, well, it's incredible, really, isn't it? For the time it was filmed and stuff, and oh, zombies, quite freaky. But I think everyone knows Night of the Living Dead, or they've seen it in some kind of shape, way, or form. And it is one of the films I've caught as a kid as well. Probably not before Arachnophobia. I think I would have been too young to watch it then. I remember seeing Alien 3 with my friend over his house. Um, we were quite young to watch that film actually, but that didn't scare us. We were okay with that. I can't remember if my head was turning away at the end though, with the alien burst on the chest. But yeah, Night of the Living Dead. I don't have to say much of it. You know what it is. I fancy watching that again now. Darren, what have you done to me? And speaking of fancy watching stuff again, there's so many films coming up in the live stream that I've never heard of. Like, well, I've heard of Train to Busan, but I've never seen it. And there was like this dummy kind of thing I wanted to watch. I have to go back and make a list. Okay, so last question, question number 10. A horror film you disliked. Now, I've been trying to think of this. There's plenty, like, I thought, like, oh, that wasn't that good, mediocre. But then I can't think of the titles, and most of them are, like, on Netflix, to be honest. So, I want to change this around a bit, I hope you don't mind, Darren, to, like, a horror film that was so rubbish, it was kind of good. And that is The Ginger Dead Man. So, basically, this is about a serial killer who gets executed, but somehow his blood ends up being mixed in with a batch of cookie dough, and is baked into a gingerbread man. So then he becomes the ginger dead man, and goes on like a killing spree. Um, it's so ridiculous. It's funny. It is quite bad, but it's a good laugh. So I didn't really dislike it. I mean, it's not great, but yeah, and it's got some sequels as well. The second sequel is called The Ginger Dead Man Passion of the Crust. And the third one's called Saturday Night Cleaver. I can't remember if I've seen the second or third ones, have I? Oh, I really can't remember. I've definitely seen the first one. Yeah, me and my friend in work, we just like spent a lot of, well, we found his tales quite funny on a few occasions. And still bring it up to him now, like the Passion of the Crust. Okay, guys, that is it for the horror questions. I'll try and list these below. So if you want to do a VR to walk in the car, you can. I will list his channel in the comments. No, I won't. In the description. below, and you guys can go check that out. Yeah, I enjoyed that. Something different from gaming. Please, yeah, and if you don't fancy doing a video VR, let us know your answers. Drop me a comment, but go to Walking the Cow's channel and drop him a comment as well, because it would be interesting to see what your favorite horrors are and what horror films you disliked. Have you seen a ginger dead man? That would be interesting to know. Anyway, this video's going on a bit. So guys, thanks for watching as ever, and boom, see you soon.